Hi guys, we are here again. We are trying to get my dear friend Emily on our live. We're going to talk about spiritual awakening and understanding and knowing who you are and knowing and seeing that there is a version of you that is calling you and your soul is calling you. My dear friend Emily is going to join us, and she's known as the Angel Coach. And it is incredible because she works in the spiritual realm. I feel like she is my soul sister for a very long time. Oh, she's here. So I'm just asked to join, and I'll bring you in as soon as possible. But we're going to talk about your spiritual home and your spiritual awakening and what that looks like and how you're going to move into the spiritual awakening piece and balancing your masculine and your feminine energies. And so let me try to bring Emily in, invite her in. And that should allow you to come in just a moment. So again, guys, we are talking about your spiritual awakening, your spiritual home. One of my dear friends and my sister. Hi, beautiful.
Hi.
Emily, thank you for joining. I know you're out to lunch with some friends.
No, this is
Let's talk about, why don't you introduce yourself to my audience, because everyone knows me and everyone knows who I am, but you're beautiful light, and this is my soul sister, and we found each other, is what we say all the time, right? And we haven't known each other very long, but we're just so in alignment. And so why don't you introduce yourself and tell my audience who you are and what you do and the magic that you bring to this world.
well, hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay before I continue? Okay,
Yes, we
cool.
can.
So I'm the one who has to say sorry because we planned this live and I was supposed to be done and complete, but my original live earlier kind of went over and it pushed me back. So thank you for being patient and having me be part of this. Hello, everyone. I'm Emily, the Angel Coach. And why am I known as the Angel Coach? Because since a little girl, I've been seeing angels. They've been guiding me. They've been showing me. They've been speaking. And it's been my whole journey is having this amazing relationship with these manifestations of love. And they actually are the ones who invited me to call myself the Angel Coach. Because when I get to work with people, it's not the human me doing the coaching, but it's actually channeled and invited, and the angels are the ones that take over and lead from there. So yeah.
That. I love that so much. So we're talking today about spiritual awakening in your spiritual home and coming back into your spiritual body, not just your physical body, but also your energetic body and your spiritual body. Let's talk about how you and I are, we hear, feel, and see everything before it happens. So you can't lie
Yes.
to us. But
Yes.
let's talk about someone moving through the journey of the spiritual awakening, because it's such a powerful force when the angels call to you and they call you to a higher place, and you want to be seen and you want to be heard in your fullest authenticity, and knowing that when you're walking, and I say it's God in you through you, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that space. Let's talk about that, because it's such a powerful place of the journey of spiritual awakening. Now, there's a lot of darkness on this spiritual awakening that we have to turn into light, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that as well.
So I love this conversation, and it's funny because as you're talking, I'm audibly hearing them say that it's funny because the awakening has already. It's like we're already awakened, right? The awaken has already happened, and it's about our human catching up to what has already been since the day we took our first breath, right? It's like that idea that we're already all of that and more, and it's just our humans catching up to like, oh yeah, I could actually take a deeper breath. I could take a deeper, thank you. I could dive deeper into reality is what I'm audibly hearing, and I think that's what happens. It's like when we're invited to dive deeper in the human experience of our reality, that's when it can get scary and sometimes overwhelming because we're being cracked open. I'm audibly hearing cracked open, into who and what we are, which can require a lot of letting go, a lot of changes all at once, all at
Amen,
once.
amen, amen. So let's talk about the process of detachment. And I know since I was a little kid, and you as well, we have seen and hear and felt things, and I felt like we came to this earth. I had invisible friends my entire life, but now I learned that they were my angels and they have guided me, and
Mhm.
it's been my internal guidance system. Let's talk about that in knowing and understanding when we're listening to our internal guidance system and we're in our energetic home, and when we're not, and what that looks like in the 3D reality.
Want to begin, and then we'll take it from there. And the only reason is because I am hearing different voices. I hope
Mm.
that makes sense. It's like it's neat because as we're talking, I'm feeling and hearing a lot of different angels wanting to speak, if that makes sense. So I'm
Let's
gonna let
let's
you.
let them speak. Let's give them a platform. That's what I do. I give people platforms a voice to speak. So let's let them speak.
Well, it's funny because I'm audibly hearing is that there's so much happening for us. It's the thing that I keep hearing, but I feel like that's not just an invitation for you and I, but I feel like it's just collectively there's so much that is happening
Mm.
for us, and we can get so diluted. Thank you. The receiving aspect of it can get so diluted because we are holding to certain expectations of things being and looking a certain way, and we can get very trapped in that, right? And we can miss out on how much receiving we're being invited to experience.
Beautiful.
And I know the conversation is aligned with what we started, but again, just honoring that there's it's like all this different things is wanting to come in at once, which is always
Well,
amazing.
I truly believe that we're given really big platforms to get the voice out to the world, and so what is in your daily life, in your human form, what does your energetic home look like inside of you? What does that feel like to you?
Hmm. That's an interesting way. That's a great way to ask it. And I guess the way that I can respond to that is that I feel that my energetics are not inside of
Mm.
me, right? I feel like
Same.
it's actually outside of me and it's in all things, and I
Mm.
think that those are the most euphoric moments that I do have is when I can see myself in all that which is outside of me. Like I
Mm.
get to like I don't know, it's like I get to thank you. They're audibly saying it's like I get to fall in love with myself over and over and over and over, but not even myself, but more of like how I'm seen by that which is love or God. Um, but when you ask that question, it's like I went to check in, right? Like check in. Okay, so how does the energetic feel? So how do I give that voice? And then it's like as I try to check in, I feel myself like going out, right?
Mm.
Beyond the body or not in my body. I guess it's the best way I could explain how what that led me into, right?
Well, I love that you said that. And I think most of yours and my journey, just from speaking to you, has been we live outside of the body and then we integrate it back into the 3D. But most people, elevate to going out of their body. And so let's talk about the experiences
Mm.
of when you're not listening to your guidance system and you're not listening to what you're supposed to be, like when you're making the wrong choices, I guess, in life.
Well, I like to differentiate and identify and celebrate that I'm walking duality, right? That I'm human as much as I'm spirit.
Yeah.
And I can tell that at times my human may feel lost.
Mm.
So, I feel like when I'm not maybe doing or in a place of ease as much as I'm capable of being is when I'm letting my humans doubts or insecurities or stories or conversations. Thank you. They're audibly saying, it's like when I let my human
Mm.
plague what the spirit is already doing or knowing what to do with.
Yeah.
It's that dynamic that my spirit always knows what to do. But when you're saying like how do I navigate? What I do tend to tell myself is like, I'm just in my human,
Mm.
right? There's no judgment in regards to this is good or bad. I was like, I'm just in my human. And then it's like, okay, well, what does my human need right now?
I love
And
that.
usually for me, and it's just my personality, it's like I'm very playful. I'm very childlike. So if that's happening, then I know my human needs to go play, right?
Mm.
It's like my human needs to go take care of feeding her happy, playing, dancing, connecting with friends, like my little girl needs some attention.
Love that. Love that. I love that. And you and I have such a joyful spirit, and I think that was, I think on my spiritual journey was getting to peace, because in the humanness there's a lot of noise out in the world, and so joy is a very beautiful spirit, and it's curiosity and fun, and you and I have that very joyful fairy energy, right?
Yes.
But I think that for me, the journey was of peace, and finding solitude in me, and finding solitude in the duality of this is the human space and this is the physical or spiritual awakening space. And you and I have been guided our whole life, and we hear and we see, and we're so open to that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to people that are not as open, that are just learning how to be as open as we are, and living in that space where,
Oh, a
good.
huge butterfly just came up to the window. I don't know if you guys can see
I
it. Can
love
you guys see
that.
it?
I love that.
Can you see it? It's
Yeah.
a huge butterfly. So, the best way, or at least at the moment, what's coming up, or at least the best way that I can offer insights in the moment right now, is that idea that I do know that all of us have our portal. All of us have our
Mhm.
portal, meaning that all of us have access points to that. Thank you. That greater definition of spirit, God, universe, angels, divine. We all have access to it. And there's not one way. But the illusion or the story or the programming that we've been told is that there's this way or that way or this way. There's so many ways. And you said it perfectly. Your journey, your path has been through peace, through that stillness and silence. For me, it's been play. My angels, my experience of it, when it comes to how I know they've been showing up to help my unique personality, is through being childlike, right? Which I know it's part of you too, and
Yeah.
playing. And I would suggest anybody who's looking, thank you, and they're audibly saying that deep down inside, all of us are seekers, because all of us are seeking to come back home. All of
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
We all
About
know.
that. We talked about that today, right? We're all
Yes.
guiding each other home, right?
Yes. Yes. Like on some level, we all know that we just came here and borrowed time, and we're
Mhm.
here for a little bit. We may not consciously think about it every day, but this is knowing inside of us that we know we're here for only a time, and that we're all going to go home. No matter what, we all are going to go home. And I know, or at least my experience of it is that if you if there's curiosity, or deep down inside you're hearing the seeker inside of you, that inside of you which is seeking to be more, learn more, or become more, experience more, it's about, okay, where are my portals? And some people, your portal is in the shower, right?
Mhm.
Some people is doing the dishes, some people are running, walking, doodling, journaling, driving the car. Like, I've literally have had clients that their portal is driving, so their homework is to go drive for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
energy's moving, so that you can receive ideas and insights, but you could also move what is being kept inside, that is keeping you, right? That it's keeping you from receiving or experiencing the joy, the peace that you're craving. So
I love that.
everybody has a portal.
Travel hands down. And what if someone was on this beautiful journey, and then all of a sudden the polarity shows up? And so how I teach it is to allow the polarity, and go into the polarity, and go through the polarity, and feel the polarity. So it's fear, or the anger, or the anxiety, or whatever it may be coming up, because your emotions are your guidance system on the journey. And knowing where your frequency is an important thing with your awareness. And so what I teach all the time is to understand, just be aware of what's coming up, and move through the emotions of sadness or whatever it may be, but allowing them to have space. Because so many people want to like kill the ego, when you actually have to work with the ego as your inner child to move through that, and having, the ego deaths or whatever it may be, to the greater version of you, and moving into the spiritual awakening space. So what do you think about that?
Well, there's two things that I'm audibly hearing. But by the way, Noelle, hi, Noelle. Thank you so much for engaging with us and being so amazing and being present with the conversation. Thank you,
Noelle,
thank
I
you.
love your name, by the way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
spelled
I
the
love
same
it. I'm
way with
like,
mine.
so thank you so much. And everybody else who's joining live or on replay, thank you for showing up and being here. I always celebrate because, of course, the conversations, and I know you know this, Noelle, it's like the conversations are not just guided by our presence, it's guided by who's listening and who will come to listen, you know? So it's always acknowledging that if you felt called to listen live or on replay, there's something coming, there's something being given, there's something that's being downloaded, and it's just about enjoying it and allowing yourself to receive it. So going with the ego, and this doesn't mean it's the right way to perceive it. I can just share how I've learned to receive or perceive it from my own perspective. I feel like we're destined and designed to fall in love with the ego as much as we're designed and destined to fall in love with our spirit. I said that a little earlier, right? We are walking duality, and it's not about choosing one or the other. It's understanding that we're both and that we need both in this life that we're in. We need both to thrive, to heal. And that part of the mission and the destiny along the process is to be able to fall in love with both parts of ourselves. You know, it's very easy to love, forgive, and appreciate the spirit, but sometimes it's very hard to love, appreciate, and forgive what we label as the ego. But that's actually part of the awakening. That's part of the gift. That's part of the journey. To love everything that has been, who has made you uniquely you, and what's making you uniquely you now. And that the reality is that it's meant to go through that process. That's part of the gift of why we are alive. We're meant to experience this dance. And thank you. I love that. It's like getting, like, all of us will get to this place. It might be on the last breath, hopefully not for all of us listening, right? But they're audibly saying is that there are no shadows, right? Because light and the shadow is a reflection of that same source. We're just getting to view different parts of it and understanding that the shadow is the contrast that is required for us to lean and experience the power of the light as much as the light, right, is helping us to appreciate how much we've grown and how far we've come. And it's not about one being better than the other. It's the understanding that the dynamic of the two are required for us to be here, you know?
It's light and dark and night and day, and the moon and the earth, you know, the sun and the earth. It is really understanding, really everything. And this is what I teach in the quantum fields: is there is not every single person, every single human, every single bird, every single thing that comes into your existence is your exact frequency, and it's a mirror of you inside. And so I teach that it is our journey to elevate our frequency, and that it to go from a lower frequency of the polarity into a higher frequency. But everything is showing us in that guidance system. And you know, whether it's the angels or your internal guidance system or God's first universe, whatever you believe it to be, there's always something guiding us to a higher place and moving through the darkness into the light. And the darkness is an experience, but it's not a bad experience. It's just understanding and knowing that every single thing that is in your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And there is not one thing that is reflecting, whether it's in the consciousness or in just in a personal journey, that is not reflecting something inside of you. And if it's coming up to be brought into the light.
Yes, yes. You know, it's interesting because, not interesting, that's not the right word, but so I did my women's call on Wednesday.
No, I think you're frozen. No, if she's frozen or not, I can't hear her. Seems like we're frozen. Can you guys hear us? Let me know in the comments if you could hear us. Nope. Okay, looks like we lost Emily. I think she'll come back in. Yes, Noelle, your inner child and your inner rejection is coming up. It's coming up to be healed and to be processed and to be moved into. So I'm proud of you for actually acknowledging that, because if you have awareness, it is 99% of the game. And Thank you guys for letting me know that you can hear me. I think we lost Emily, so I'll continue until she comes back in. And if something is coming up in your 3D reality, in your human world, it is because your soul is pulling you in a direction to move it into the light. Right. And so if there's no light or dark, all things are consciousness and all things are coming through, but it is your soul's journey of evolution to move into that space. So if something is coming up, whether it is fear, anger, hurt, sadness, guilt, or shame, or anything like that, I always say go into that. And into that and through that is where it's the pocket, and it is not comfortable and it is not fun, guys, but it is the greatest thing in the world when you can transmute the energy from a lower frequency into a higher frequency, and you move on that journey and you come through. And let me try to invite Emily back in. Let me see if she's okay to come back in right now. Oh, it doesn't seem like, oh, there you are. You're back.
I am.
Now,
I laugh. I'm like, I do calls all the time in my car, my Zoom calls, my calls, and that is the first time this happened. So
because we're talking about something big, and I don't know if you heard me or not, but what I was saying is, someone said that a lot of the stuff with their inner child was coming in, and I said, that is actually coming up to be healed in the space and moving through it, knowing and understanding and sending love to the polarity of it. But how we evolve on the soul's journey, at least how I was taught from being a shaman, is how we evolve on the soul's journey is we have to go through the darkness into the light, right? And so the frequencies that are showing up are just guiding you to a higher place, a higher level of where you're supposed to be. And God's first universe is guiding you in that space. So if sadness is coming up, then happiness and joy is what is needed in your life. And so going into the happinesses, into the sadness is how you get to the sadness, right? And healing those old wounds and the old trauma is part of it, but you don't have to be stuck in the healing loop. You can quantum leap, because there's an infinite field of possibilities that you can go into at any moment in time, right?
yes.
And as you said in the beginning, get out to nature, play, do something that you love. For me, it's travel. As soon as I get on a plane, it's my frequency changes, right?
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on going through the journey of the spiritual home and truly finding your home? Like, I feel like you and I, our home is our spirituality, but a lot of people don't have that. Like they're seeking, in the seeking mode. What would you suggest to some viewers that are in the space of, you and I think all day, every day, it is our number one priority to be in our spiritual home. That's our safe space. Our emotional home and our spiritual home are very high frequencies. What about people that are on the journey that are not quite there yet?
Well, that's a great question. So let me just ask them how to best answer that, right? Because there's so many layers to that can be. So can I go back to the child real quick?
Sure.
Because I got a vision of that. Someone who's moving through the child or the healing those wounds. So this happened years ago, and this actually was right before. By the way, can you hear me? Okay, I had to turn the AC straight to me because of the
Yes.
phone.
Yes.
Okay. So they showed me a vision of this memory I have, and what happened is that the angels woke me up, and they were telling me to get up, and I sat up, and I said, if you guys can keep me up, then fine, we're doing this. But what happened is that I got taken into a memory when I was a young girl, and I was going through something traumatic. And in the vision, what happened is that my adult self, who I am now, is that I went and I picked up my little girl self, and I just held her. And then I started to weep. I started to weep. And in the weeping, the little girl, me, that I was holding, stopped crying, and she surrendered and she let go of whatever that pain was, right? And then I, as an adult, just gave myself permission to feel it, not just for her, but for myself. And I think that part of why they're showing me that memory is that when emotions come up, we're gifted the opportunity to hold ourselves. And a lot of times we're seeking the external to either numb it or hold us, right? Looking for someone else to hold us, looking for a way to make it go away or numb it or whatever it may be, when in reality that's that's also what the soul is crazy and excited about.
Mm-hmm.
All the emotions, right? The soul's not saying, okay, we're only here for the happy, we're only here for the joy. No, or we're only here for the peace, right? The soul is saying, I'm here for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I want all the spectrum. I want the spicy, I want the hot mess, I want the happy, I want all of it. And when emotions come up, it's not about how do I move it or what I have to feel, which I know is an interesting way to say it, because our human will always look at the superficial story, and the reality is that the superficial story doesn't even go as deep as it's meant to go. So at times, am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen, but they said that they can't hear you very well, so maybe not.
Huh. Okay, let me lower the AC. All right, how about now? Is it any better?
That's better. Yes.
Okay. So at times, what we're being asked is just to feel it. But the hard part is making sure that the human is not getting into the story
Mm-hmm.
of why we're having the feeling, or what could it mean, or how long is it going to last, or what else is behind this. Like, no, just feel it, right? Like letting yourself feel it. And I know that's a lot easier to say than done, because we have learned as humans to always figure out why. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why does it feel so uncomfortable? Why is this happening again? I just cleared this. It's like, how much work do I really have to do?
For the rest of your
like,
life, you're in human school, right?
yeah, it's like just feel it, And here recently, what day was that? Energy's moving because they're saying several people need to hear this. Like, I remember I was like, yeah, I don't want this feeling. Like, this feels so uncomfortable, because that's it. We want to get rid of it because it's too uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. And I was like, this feels uncomfortable. I want it out. Like, how do I get rid of this? Like, I want this to go away. I'm done with this. I don't want to feel this in my chest. And it was a very interesting moment, because in it, it was as if the angels were also saying, oh my gosh, but you are so in it. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, F you. This is not what I want. I don't want to be in it. Like, that's not what I was asking. I was asking, how do I get out of this? I was like, how do I get rid of this?
I think acceptance in that space is where, when we have so much resistance, that's where you have to accept what's going on in your reality, because acceptance is the opposite of resistance, right? And the second that you accept it and let it go, that's when it usually shows up. And so I love that. And I think I have a timer, and I teach this, and let me know your thoughts on this. I tell people to fully be in it for 5 minutes. They have 5 minutes, and they could go in their car, they could say F this, blah, 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 go off, scream, do whatever they got to do. Don't do it in front of your kids or your husband or wife, because that's not high energy. Go do it with you and God, or go out into nature. Set that minute timer, and when that timer goes off, you're done. And it no longer has space in your energetic fields after that. Like, it is literally, okay, I am allowing this to have space, but I'm allowing it to have 5 minutes of space, and that's it. And I'm no longer participating in going down that loop, because your neural net pathways, once you start looping, it could be days and days and years of the same loop going down that energetically. So if you give it a time frame, it's cutting it off, and it's saying, you don't have power. I see you, but you don't have power over me, right? And so let's talk about the balance of the feminine and the masculine energies, and not meaning male or female, those that are watching. It's an energy within inside of us that is a masculine and a feminine, and some have more dominant feminine energies and some have more masculine energies. Yet in the human embodiment, they have to be, and especially as entrepreneurs, they have to be balanced, right? And so in life, in relationship, in partnership, in business, in motherhood, those have to be balanced. And when they're not, what does that look like, and what should people do when they're not look like, and when it's not balanced? Because this is a very big thing when people don't understand that they're in the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine, and they're acting from a space of trauma. They're going to trauma bond with other people along the way, right? And not relationships with everybody.
Yes. Are you okay if I just go back real quick to the emotions and then come back to this? Is that okay?
Of course. True.
So just a tool, and I just shared this with the group of women that I lead on Wednesdays. We just talked about this, and then I literally just coached someone through this who's going through a lot of emotional challenges, or that a human can label. And I shared a little bit of when I was going through my own medical challenges with my daughter, where there were very extreme challenges and there was a lot of ache and a lot of sadness and a lot of overwhelmment. One of the things that they taught me or they shared with me is like, how am I really feeling right now? Outside of the words in my mind, outside the stories, and you said it perfectly, like give yourself 5 minutes to entertain the thoughts, right? Entertain the dialogue. But after 5 minutes, it's about understanding that the energy automatically wants to move. Energy is designed to move. Energy is not designed to get stuck. It gets brought into a loop when there's a narrative or a story around the energy, right? When we're trying to define it. But what I would do and what they taught me is that I would go ahead and just do my best not to get caught up in the story, right? Give myself permission to move into becoming highly aware with what I was actually feeling. And every time, no matter how extreme things are, if I just quiet my mind or not give attention to the stories of what can or can't happen, what if she dies, what if she doesn't die, all this other stuff, and I would just feel into my body, I would feel this calmness. It's like my body just felt anxious because it was responding to my thoughts, right? Not that my actual experience of the energy, right, of the emotion, the energy emotion, was that of chaos. So just something to add in there, whoever that's meant to resonate with.
So good.
And I love the question about the masculine and the feminine. I do know, I know that we're being pulled into upgrading our understanding of concepts. Energy's moving to that, right? We're being upgraded. And, I know for me that the way that the angels and these beings of beautiful love are teaching when it comes to the feminine, which is something I'm really leaning into, as well as adding eventually here the masculine, is that it's not about the mainstream or even the concepts about what's a feminine or a woman or a man or masculine, but that there's these upgraded versions of understanding why our souls chose the physical body that we're in. And that our physical bodies have been encoded with specific ideas, knowledge, thank you, energetic systems are saying, that are not being used to their potential. And that if for some reason, whatever you associate yourself with, man, woman, unattached to the identity of what that is, but your physical body contains a womb, contains the physicality of a woman, born as a woman. Not that you are identifying yourself as a woman, but like you carry the physicality. There are things within your womb that you can wake up when it comes to creation. And it's not just about birthing a child, but no, creation, where you can really move into creation codes outside of the physicality that is you, because your body has been anointed with the ability to do some things. The vehicle has capacities and power and capabilities that we haven't used to our potential. The same thing applies to a person who's born into the physical body of a man. And I'm still learning that of the man. They've told me that there's 4 pillars. I actually laughed because I think I might have told you this, Noelle. When they downloaded the information, the women, they're showing me that the women have 7 rays of consciousness, and they're calling it rays of consciousness. We're shapeshifters. We're meant to be up and down all over the place with these rays of consciousness so that we can learn how to respond versus react. And then the masculine has 4 pillars. And it was funny because they were giving me the information and I was like, angels, there's 4. What about the other? Like, what about, there's only 4? And they're like, oh, that's it. And
that's why we're so complex and men are so easy, right?
It was the funniest thing because I actually laughed. I was like, they're not as complicated as the woman's consciousness, right? As the energy.
We're complicated beings, for sure. But we're super easy. They make it more complicated than they need to.
It was the funniest thing because I was like, okay, all right, that was good, and I laughed. So thank you. I love that. As I mentioned before, we are duality. So when it comes to the mainstream concept of the masculine and the feminine, we are destined and designed to be both, right? We're destined and designed to be both. And a lot of what I'm teaching now, again, the feminine, is not that idea of the masculine and the feminine, like, oh, if you're a woman, you're feminine. No, it's like we're just learning how to use the body that we chose as a soul differently. And when it comes to the masculine and the feminine in the mainstream, in the way that we know it, right? And a lot of what we've been learning with spirituality, with different conversations, even mainstream, right? Is that we're meant to be balanced in our use of our masculine and our feminine. We
Right.
are, you know, we are all meant to be very fluid and intuitively in tuned and aware, which is the feminine, so that we can receive. The
Mm-hmm.
masculine merges the insight, and it merges it and brings it into practicality, as the masculine, right? So that's what we call inspired action, right? That's the doer. Thank you. The masculine is the doer, and the reality is that it's not about one or the other, right? But understanding that for us to be able to thrive in this human experience, we have to be able to, thank you, to awaken both capacities of the masculine and the feminine in the mainstream concept, so that we can thrive, so that we can thrive. Um, but going back to, we are also at a time collectively where we're being invited to really own our true nature,
Mm-hmm.
which is feminine or masculine. Again, this is beyond the mainstream, but understanding that when we own our true nature, life can't help but show up differently,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Um,
Magic becomes our normal, right? Because we have literally awakened into they're saying
mm-hmm.
lucidity of, thank you, and also the malleability of what life is. So everything around us is masculine and feminine, right? It's all malleable. It's energy.
Yeah.
It's got the feminine and the masculine, right? The masculine is what gives it form. The feminine is what is the energy that holds it. So,
Mm.
or that moves inside the form.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the
I
way they
love
want me to say it.
the energy of the creation is the feminine, and the container is the masculine, and that's
Yes.
such a beautiful way. And so, I work in the quantum fields, and so I tell people what we do is we start as wave, and then we bring it back into matter, but then we have to go back out into wave and create again, and then bring it into matter, and it's this beautiful
Mm.
dance between wave and matter. And it's just, and that's why lucidity sounded so beautiful to me, because I'm like, yeah, I teach lucid dreaming, and that's what we do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, my love, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you, my life. I have some exciting news. I haven't announced it to anybody yet, but you and we are going to Puerto Rico together, and we are going to, if you guys want more of this beautiful soul, and she literally can be in your presence for 5 minutes and transform your life. First of
Oh, I
all,
feel
where
the
can
same
we
way.
find you? Second of all, I'm super excited for you to come to Puerto Rico. I'll link all the links of Puerto Rico below. But where can everybody find you, and what are you up to now? I know that there's so much that you're doing, and I know that we're building really amazing, beautiful things. I know both of us have tremendous platforms to get God's voice out as big as we
Mm.
can, and I know that's both of our missions. So, where can everybody find you, and if they were looking for you?
Well, first of all, I am so excited about Puerto Rico. That's where I'm from. So thank you, thank you. I can't wait to dive deeper into this adventure and like see what magic and all the, because it's always awe-inspiring, right? What happens when you follow the invitation, right? So it's like I cannot wait to connect not just with you, but everyone else that I know is going to be called and pulled and invited, right,
Mm.
to be part of that time with us. So thank you. Really excited. Also, too, I know you didn't mention it, but I know we're going to be doing also an event in LA, we believe, right?
Yeah.
Where it's going to be fun too to see what happens with that. I've reached out already to a few people that are going to be helping with that. So just celebrating and putting that out there as well for everyone. Of course, Puerto Rico is an immersive experience. So if you're looking for transformation, if you're looking to physically experience the dynamics, thank you, of what can take over when spirit, love, and light awaken you, that's Puerto Rico, right? That's Puerto Rico.
I love that. That's a perfect description of Puerto Rico. And it's the theme is live unmuted, right? And so
Mhm.
I think that you and I, that's what we do. We tap into the key of living unmuted, and having your voice of authenticity come through you. And it's such an incredible gift that we get to do this together. And I'm super excited for it. I mean, that's That's all I can say. And LA. And just so you guys know, we are going to be working in your mental body, your physical body, your emotional body, and your energetic body. And we're going to go on crazy adventures. So we're going to tie in my brand and her brand, and we're going to do all the healing and crazy adventures. And we're going to get your voice out to the world as big as we really need you to. And your voice is your power, guys. It is your authenticity. And so we're going to teach you how to live unmuted in this beautiful spiritual home that you have in this physical world. And that in LA. And so what else where can they find you, and what else is there that you are working on? I know that you are a coach and you transform lives all day, every day, right?
We both do. We both do. It's so good. So you can follow me actually here on the Angel Coach here on Instagram. If you click on my bio, one of the things that we're excited that we just started sharing more deliberately is called Angel Wings. So you could actually register for Angel Wings newsletter. And those are going to be things that you're going to be receiving via email, where you're going to get guidance, which, by the way, it's 444. You can't make this up. It's so good. So Angel Wings. That's it. Right? It's like angel wings are that, like repetitive numbers. Are you seeing repetitive numbers? Are you seeing animals, the butterfly? Like, what does it all mean? You know, it's like signs are everywhere.
In Puerto Rico and
yes. Yes. So the Angel Wings newsletter is that you'll be getting things daily on your email to help you know what the signs mean. And we're going to give you support for that. So that's exciting. And I'm also diving deep and enjoying every part of it, teaching about the feminine outside of the Main Street concept. And we're doing Feminine Flow Fridays. You can join us for that. But if you want to dive deeper, of course, we have programs and different ways to servicing you and waking up that alignment. And also, I'm gonna start soon teaching within the masculine, so that's going to be fun as well. So that's how they can connect with me, and I would love to connect and get to meet you in person and continue the conversation through those platforms.
Well, my love, I thank you for being such a beautiful light in this world. You're just a gift to this world, and everything that you touch turns to gold. So thank you for being my sister, and thank you I'm super excited for all the projects we're going to do together. And we are here to activate and illuminate. And I think that those two words, if they resonate with you guys, then come join either one of us on all of our journeys that we do. And sending so much love to all of you watching on the live and the replay. And we are just here to guide you home, is what has really been resonating with me. We're all guiding each other home, right? And so thanks for being part of this family. And we love you, and we're sending so much love and light to you. And thanks so much, Em, for being here. I know that it was the middle of your workday, and you were meeting with friends, and you stopped it. So thank you for taking a minute and introducing yourself to my audience, who is going to fall in love with you, I promise.
Oh, well, I'm grateful for you. You are outstanding, amazing, and like to say, auspiciously delicious in so many ways. So it's fun that we got to enjoy this together, and I'm grateful for what you are delivering and presenting to my audience as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah! Lots of love to you and everyone who joined live and replay.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.